Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Paint Desk Ramblings. I'm joined tonight by two wonderful guests, both new on the show. We have from the Proxy Table Gaming group, the amazing Gobbo. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me on.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to have you. And we also have an alumni from the Ninth Age project and a well-known face from the Swedish tournament scene. It's Squigkikka.
Thank you very much. That's a very nice introduction.
How are you tonight?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm also glad to be here.
Excellent. Okay, so I have you on for a very special topic for tonight. We will be talking about identifying with one's army. So the event, or what you call it, that phenomenon perhaps, that people start identifying with the army and sort of adapt to it, and do very different things to feel a part of the army and the fluff and all of that. So we will be looking about some ways that people do it, and why, and all of that. But before we get into that, we have the hobby spotlight, and I'm gonna let you start, Gobbo. What's on your desk?
So at the moment, I'm doing a Vermin Swarm Assassin that's been converted out of a Blood Bowl Gutter Runner from Games Workshop. Again, I love the pose, and hopefully it'll look quite nice on the tabletop.
Yeah, as I said earlier, I think it really is a beautiful sculpt. It's so dynamic.
A lot of the push fit models at the moment are really coming up in quality, which is quite good.
Yeah, that's neat. So I as usual, I jumped the gun, and I said that I would allow you guys to introduce yourself a bit before we start. So why don't we start with you, Gobbo, and you talk about Proxy Table and how you came into the hobby and things like that. How long you've been here?
Sure, yeah. So my name is Gobbo, or Ryan in the real world. I've been gaming since I was 9, which is, oh blimey, 26 years now. My grandfather actually bought me the box game of Talisman when it first came out, and since then I've kind of been stuck with modelling. Gone through multiple different armies, multiple different ways of doing things, different game systems, and I really enjoy the hobby side of it. So creating an idea, it may not be very good on the battlefield, but it'll be fun to play.
Well, that's classic. That's good.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah, for sure. That's very. I like that approach to the game. Like, if it's fluffy and it's cool, that's good enough.
Exactly. I've taken a couple of armies to tournaments. I'm not a big tournament player, we'll say. I'm just someone who goes to fill up the ranks, but and just meet new people really. And I always try to bring a fun-looking army and myself, and make my opponents enjoy themselves as well throughout the whole tournament, which is good. And through that,
I like that approach as well. It's like I'm making sure my opponents are having a fun time at least.
exactly.
It's very noble of you. That's a very good approach to have, especially if you start losing. Like, at least someone's having fun, you know.
Well, again, I tend to lose most games, so so you might as well enjoy it.
I was gonna say, like, even though I've been at a lot of tournaments, the only time I won a prize was when I came in last and I won the prize sportsmanship.
Yes, exactly.
So
the last one we went to was the last tournament we went to was last February, which was Bristol Art of War in England, and the Proxy Table Gaming guys were there as well, and I lost all but one of my games, which was the one that was live streamed on the channel, which was quite fun. So although, yeah, well, 4 losses, 1 win.
But you won the one that was live streamed, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's
by
all.
default.
That's all that matters.
I mean,
Don't worry about
the one that mattered.
it.
Exactly. Highest tournament total of 20 points, which is not a bad effort. But again, I won. I'm really grateful for. I won best painted for my
Ooh, good shit.
for my night goblins, so my King of America 10 goblins, and
Yeah.
also got best sportsman, which is quite fun.
Cool.
So again, I think the idea of going out and making sure you have fun, because at the end of the day, you are playing a game. You're not there just to knock people into the ground. At least I don't.
I mean, you know.
I mean, if that is your definition of fun, then go
Yeah,
ahead.
I mean, maybe I can knock someone into the ground. A little bit.
It's not very common for me, so I learned to enjoy the losses as opposed to the wins.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, usually like. Oh, sorry, I interrupted.
that's all right. Don't worry.
I was gonna say like the first 1-2 games I go in pretty serious, but still very fair. And depending on how that goes, I adjust my attitude to it. Like if I lose 2 games, then it's then I focus more on the fun aspect. If I win the 2 first, then it's like, oh well, now I gotta meet the big boys.
Yeah.
Usually. But I'm kind of curious. But the Night Goblin army, what was it made out of to win Best Painted? Was it like Arachnox and stuff, or was it purely Night Goblin?
It's the new Games Workshop models. They've got the Squigs that got knights on them, so the Goblin Knights. So they're actually
Squigs, yeah.
so they're quite heavily armored. So I've actually painted and converted each set of units. I've got Grail Knights, Questing Knights, and Knights of the Realm, all as goblins riding Squigs, which is quite fun.
Yeah, I think
and
you have a video on the channel where you go through the whole army, don't you? On the
yeah.
Proxy.
So
Yeah.
on the
I'll
Proxy
link
channel.
that video below because it is a beautiful army.
Thank you. It's good fun, and yes, it doesn't do very well, and quite often my general gets shot off first turn. But if he survives, and then you see this giant squig, which is actually a hippogriff or a squigagriff, comes charging at you. It's
Oh, that's
fun.
really cool. It's not like nearby, is it?
It's in a box. I can see if I can find it in a second.
I'm
Someone else start talking, I'll go and have a look.
Just now I kind of want to see it now.
That's all right, bud. You introduce yourself, and I'll go and have a look in my box.
Oh, that's good. Can I introduce myself, Albin?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm Squig. Tobias in real life. I'm from Sweden. I play since I think I started playing 7th when it comes to Warhammer, but I've been gaming a lot more than that. But I probably bought models for Games Workshop to start with, like the Warhammer stuff, very early on. Because when I was a kid, I was scared of dark. And I was like, I'm not gonna be scared of dark. I'm gonna buy some skeletons. Now I'm gonna be the Dark Lord. That's kids' logic. But,
I mean, that's like an origin. Isn't that like the origin story of Batman in one of the interpretations?
No, I mean, the theme was like identifying with your army. So I was like, this is perfect.
It really is.
So I bought like a bunch of skeletons and I painted them horrifically, but I made sure they had really bloody weapons. and I bought some beastmen and stuff, so. That's where it started. But basically, so where I went from there was, I had a friend. He loves dwarves, and I love goblins. So we split the Battle for Skull Pass kit. That was way back for Games Workshop back then.
That was 7th edition, I think. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, that's when we started the game. Like the skeletons are way earlier. Like I had them, and I probably didn't know like actually what they were. It's just like skeletons models. Oh,
right.
Mine now, But that's when we started to play, and ever since then I've been really hooked on these type of like tabletop games because at least it's like one of the most social ways you can game. I think. Like, I mean, you can sit on Discord and play games online and stuff, but it's a whole different social aspect to meeting someone and playing, and that's what got me hooked. I think, like the social aspect and the painting and the theme making and how unique you can make it, and yeah, all the stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
you both know that, and the people
Yeah.
listening know that as well. But that's really what got me hooked on it. And my ties to ninth age would be like way later. I started playing dwarves, and at some point they needed designers for dwarf armies for ninth age. And I think at the time, dwarves were not very popular. I don't think, or basically, dwarf armies when you played them in Warhammer used to be very gunline-ish. And I was
Yeah,
like,
they always had that stigma of sorts.
yeah, like, oh no, I'm eating dwarfs. Oh no, like, so I was like, there's a new game system, and there's going to be dwarfs in it. So I want to make sure that when people love dwarves still have that Tolkien feel to it, you know, like beards and stuff, and you know, a bit grumbly and conservative in the ways, but still like unique and stuff. And I was hoping to make a dent or difference, you know, and depending on who you ask. At least the dwarf army is not a gun line any longer. I think, and that's something at least.
Yeah, that I think that's a success for sure. That the dwarves are a lot more interesting in their different ways to play. I still don't like playing against them. They are
no, that's fine. You know, it's like, and I'm not gonna. I wasn't gonna talk too much about like deciding dwarfs or whatever, you know, because but if there's something you don't like in dwarfs, I'm pretty sure I had a finger in it. You know, if there's something you. Well, I should say, like, if there's something you don't like, it was some of the other's fault. If it was something you like, it was me doing it. Pretty much. The only thing I know is I'm not gonna be involved with the next army book. Not because I don't like the project, but because I think it's better if someone new comes in and like has a different vision, and then make it all fresh and shit. I think that'd be good.
Yeah,
fresh pair of eyes. Yeah,
that sounds fair.
Yeah. That's me, I think.
Yeah. All right. So, did you find some knights to show?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Okay.
Excellent.
So that's my Squig. So my Duke on Squig.
Wait, could you put it a little bit lower? Oh, there we go. Holy shit, that looks amazing. Wow.
So he's
Damn,
quite
you
cool.
weren't kidding.
If he survives the first round, he can do some damage. But apart from that, yeah. Then I've got Damsel on War Mushroom.
War Mushroom. Oh, that's good.
So that's my Druidism Damsel, as you do.
Is the mushroom moving? Does it have like legs, or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has
So
that.
from the Gobbo...
Holy shit, that's so cool. Oh man, that's really cool. I like that a lot.
So
Man, thank you for showing.
He normally goes into my Knights of the Realm unit. So again, the newer style goblins actually have armor on them, and I've just painted them with like the knightly errant sort of colours, and they look quite knightly, which is quite cool. And
Oh
again,
yeah, for sure. You really make them look like if my kit bash would be just like a goblin, and then probably like a helmet, and I'd be like, yes, excellent work, you know. But that's really ambitious. Well done, man.
This is mostly just the main kit from Games Workshop. It's just I've changed, and I wanted to make sure you could still see the Goblin Bastard Sword, or the Bastard Goblin Sword, as I like to call it. Yeah, it's a fun army, and I really enjoy using it, which is one of the big things for me. Because if you don't enjoy using it, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
To be honest. Again, that's one of the Knights of the Realm. So again, nice colourful squig with colourful lances and your proper Bretonian stuff. But now Kingdom of Aquitaine, obviously. Then BSB, which is a...
Oh wait, I think I cut out a bit. Or
I think Gobbo froze for a moment.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you
now. Oh, there you go. This is my Grail BSB, which is a skeleton squig with a little goblin carrying him underneath. So
that's super cool.
So again, it's from the Gobbapalooza kit from Games Workshop.
Mm-hmm.
So much conversion potential out of them. A lot of the
Oh,
new
for sure.
Goblin ranges.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to do a Knights of Aquitaine army.
Yeah.
However, I love goblins. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
man,
the.
that's really beautiful.
the
Thank you for showing, man. That's really good.
no, you're welcome. Thank you.
all right, so shall we be moving on to the hobby spotlight proper now?
Oh yeah, sorry, I got way off topic.
No, that's great. This is called a ramblings after all.
Yeah,
So
that's true. That's good. I think you got it
this
covered.
it's what we're doing. So just to recap quickly, you were working on a rat there, an assassin from the Games Workshop Blood Bowl.
Yes.
Skaven.
Using him for Vermin Swarm Assassin, yeah.
So what about you, Squig?
I recently got a whole dwarf army, and I'm working on my Infernal Dwarf Goblin kind of conversion thing, where I take dwarf bodies and dwarf beards and put them on goblins more or less. So what I'm planned for tonight, once the laptop is showing, is trying to find right bits and assembling either blunderbusses or infernal, what do you call them, flintlock axes.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I hope so. And also got, if I can do that, I'm gonna paint my Immortals unit, because it's like a really specific kind of conversion. Basically, I'm a student. I am poor as dirt, and I was like, I want a new army. Thank you very much. And I got all these bits left over. So my Immortals unit is made out of like they've got there's a dwarf banner with like a little face on it with wings. So the entire unit has that mask, which is like the equivalent of like 15 to 20 standard bearers.
So yeah, it's like the banner top of the.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I have no idea how many boxes of dwarfs that has had to be bought to get me this many banners. Like it's not very it's if you would buy it and do it yourself, from scratch, it's not a very economic thing. But when you pick up bits here and there, it works out.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, that sounds impressive.
I hope it looks alright as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm eager to show it at least.
So you said you were using dwarf heads and beards. Is that from the Games Workshop kits and various?
Yeah, pretty much, and some avatars of war as well, and also old. It depends on a bit. So basically, the main part, or like the main body, and sometimes little body, is the old goblins. I think they're ugly, like the big old goblins from Games Workshop, the huge ones.
The common goblins.
Yeah, the common goblins, but
Yeah.
also like the older common like night goblins as well, where they're like big heads, stooped over, big bodies. And they are like the basis of my conversions because they have the right bodies usually, and they have the faces, and it's easier to put beards on them. Because my beard making is super crude. It's just me basically like sitting there with a file and a knife and cutting off the beards of dwarves, more or less. And sometimes some dwarf, yeah, but it's like those bodies and those goblins are kind of expensive because they are. I don't know if they are like out of production. I think they are. And even though I think the models look kind of hideous and everything, they're pretty expensive to buy. So they're hard to get in bulk and buying. I think you can still buy them from Games Workshop. I think. Maybe
not the old cave goblins at least, but I don't think even the common.
No, you might be right.
No, you can't anymore.
I'm not sure. I haven't looked to be honest. But it's not very feasible. So I'm kind of running out of bodies. So sometimes I'll take a dwarf body and do a little fiddling because I got goblin heads, but I lack goblin bodies. So sometimes it's a mix up, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's my solution for it. So I hope it's going to look uniform because the lucky thing is that they're all squat and sometimes I can hide, a body behind like a big shield or a bunch of fluff or a weapon, Or the beard, which is really handy.
Yeah.
And fortunate.
Just thought a little bit if there are other goblin kits out there that you could use.
It could be, but the thing is that it has to be budget, so it can't really cost money that much, It might be like Mantic bodies I can use, but Mantic is not that expensive, relatively. But even then, I'm trying to just do with what I can. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm gonna be scrounging the bits box to see what I can come up with.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a little like Goblin loot raid, maybe. I don't know. That's the theme.
Sounds cool.
Yeah. I mean, I was part of the reason I could do this project is because the dwarf players on the forum got together and were like, well, I mean, a bunch of them, not like Young Edward, for example, and oh shit, Vitnar. They actually sent me dwarf bits across the world, to help me do this. And then I took like a year-long break, so I feel guilty that I haven't done more of it. So I'm gonna try to make sure it's finished and painted and everything. But that's the main idea. Sorry.
Yeah, cool.
I ramble a lot, dude. Holy shit. I think it's the pandemic. I don't talk to people in real life, so it's like,
I
like
mean,
hey.
we're all in that situation, so don't feel bad about it. All right. So for myself, I'm working on a little halfling here, as the audience can see. Though I can show it briefly up here in that camera.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
So the model is from the assault group. So it's a little little Landsknecht halfling that I'll be using in my Empire Sonnenstahl army as a writer. I have a whole bunch of other writers right here. These are from Games Workshop Outriders kit or Pistoliers kit, and this halfling is converted with some guns from that as well. And then I'll be using mostly horses from the Fireforge kits. They have they sell just loose horses, which is nice.
Oh, that's really nice, actually. Yeah.
And they are a lot smaller than the Games Workshop horses, so they fit halflings a lot better. And,
like
yeah,
ponies almost.
Yeah, this one they did. I think this one came with a rooster to ride on, which is really cool.
That's really cool.
I think I'm gonna use that as a hellhound instead, because I like the thought of that.
That's cool as well.
But and I also got some dwarves in the units, also mounted, and they came with some tiny ponies that were. I mean, I think the person who sculpted them hadn't seen a horse. They are super creepy and quite adorable, but they are so weird. I can't describe them. So I have to figure out what to do with them as well.
Horses are really hard to sculpt, I think, because even Games Workshop, who have done really good horses, have some really awful horses as well.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I think it's one of those things that the eye can pick up on what's wrong quite easily. So it just seems off some way.
Yeah, I think so too. Like it's very easy to tell when there's something wrong going on.
Yeah. But anyway, that's what I'm working on. Another uniform, Empire Sonnenstahl.
Nice.
It's been a long project. I'm hoping to bring it to a tournament sometime soon.
I was gonna say like what tournament they're gonna bring it on, because that's gonna be maybe not for a very soon time indeed.
Yeah, I did actually bring the Empires to the last tournament I went to, which was tag team in March or February last year.
Yeah.
So that was just a small army then. But yeah, we'll see when the full one gets to see the field.
That'll be nice. Like we're all like playing shorty armies. I like that a lot.
Yeah. This is just most of the guys in the army is human, so I
Okay.
just have
Like,
some elements of dwarves and halflings, and I even have orcs and orcs and a few goblins in the army as well,
yeah, but that makes sense. They could be fairly mercenary, I reckon.
and giants, of course.
Yeah, giants. As long as it's good food, they'll tag along, I'm sure.
So that's what's going on there. Let's move on to news, and we have quite a lot of news, though very little to like show off on the screen. So I've chosen to remove that window from the recording.
Alright.
So we'll just start with a small bit of news that I found. Tabletop campaign repository. It's a guy who put together a lot of different resources for making campaigns in tabletop gaming.
Ooh.
And he put together a cool little site where it's all linked with some information and credits to the creators and everything.
Mm.
So it's a nice little resource. I will link it down below in the show notes as usual, and encourage people to check it out, especially if they're interested in running campaigns, which I think is a cool way to enjoy the hobby. Next is a rather big thing that has happened recently is the Infernal Dwarfs update.
Mhm.
So it's a third beta that they released. A little over 2 weeks ago now, I think, and I haven't been that active on the forums, but I get the feeling that some people have been grumbling about it a lot. So, what are your thoughts?
If I could whistle, I was gonna say let Gobbo start, because
All right.
otherwise I'll keep on going.
I've heard quite a lot of negativity about it. Again, I haven't myself. I'm not an ID player, unfortunately. Again, I like the idea of a hobgoblin army. But from some of the ID players that I talk to on the forums or talk to on WhatsApp and things like that they're not overly impressed. Some of them outright saying they're never going to play ID again, sort of thing, which is a bit dramatic, I think. But that's fine. That's their decision.
Yeah.
But I think it's still a work in progress. It's still the beta, and same with everything. Every single army is going to go through this. Yes, it's all the focus is on ID at the moment, but I think we just got to ride the storm and then come out the other end, hopefully.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. I haven't played a game against Infernal Dwarfs in a very long time. Not against this against the beta releases at all. So I can't really speak out that much about the power levels and things like that. But to me, I think I like the design of the book so far. And this latest one, I think I can't complain that much, I guess. So I guess we'll leave it to you, Squig.
I'm not gonna complain only. I think it's like I'm actually really excited. I think I like the book overall, and as someone who's designed, I know it can be really ungrateful to design a book because there's always gonna be people complaining, and you always notice the complainers the most.
Yeah, and it's always the complainers who are most prone to post about it as well.
Exactly. And I mean, I've been guilty of it. Like, I've been complaining more than I've been praising as well. I like to think I've done some praising, especially of like the passion and stuff like that. But there's also some designs I really don't like.
Yeah.
I was originally on the Infernal Dwarf design team, but I jumped off, whatever it's called in English. Maybe it's not jumped off.
Yeah.
It's maybe Swedish.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And not because I was like dissatisfied or anything. It's just that the first Infernal Dwarf team was too many people. I think there was like 5 or 6 of us designing it, and it was just a little bit too many voices and too many people who had to agree.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm not like super passionate about them. Like I'm not dwarf or goblin passionate about them, and I can notice like Wham, for example, is super passionate about Infernal Wars. It's really nice that he's still in the team because I think even if I don't agree with like his choices or whatever, I think it's really good that they have someone who has like vision and has an idea what they want to do and goes with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had
Uh,
him on the show once, and he seemed really passionate about what he's doing with the Infernal Wars at that time.
yeah, absolutely. Because the thing is that when um if I was dictator of Ninth, I would make every army just one designer, maybe one, maybe two designers, and then they just go that and then see what happens, kind of. Because um, it's really hard to get a coherent vision if it's gonna be designed by committee, kind of.
Yeah, maybe.
And since I was designing dwarfs from beginning to end, pretty much, so we got the most work done, or like the best work was done usually when there was only 2 people, because the dwarf book was usually designed by 2 people at a time, even though the team was sometimes 3 or 4 people. Two
Yeah.
people might be like busy about the stuff, or they were not as able to keep up. So it usually, I think it was first me and uh, KG Kid doing some iterations of Dwarnhole's book, I think. Wait,
Yeah.
and then me and Fnar discussing it and stuff. Anyway, and it's just like it's usually better with few people in it, and I think the downside to having one person do all the work is it can be tricky to put a stop to it. Because my number one complaint with the Infernal Dwarfs book is it was very complex before. It's even more complex now, I think.
Is it? I think they've been
Uh,
scaling back on it in it.
I think it's subjective a bit. Because I think, for example, like, can you tell me like, it's maybe more like the blunderbuss, for example, is no longer quite as contrived. For example, I think that's good. In
Yeah, and
beta 3, oh sorry, go on.
I think they removed the ammunitions pretty much,
A bit, yeah.
or at least from the they reduced the complexity of it a bit by
Mm.
removing it from the weapon team and only have it on the big guns.
Yeah, I think that's good. 'Cause that was
And
pretty messy.
it wasn't it in this update they also changed up the Lamasu
Yeah.
to remove that its weird casting thing, which
No,
I quite liked,
no,
but
I hated it. Sorry. It's very fun in a fluffy way, but I don't.
I
There's
think
some things.
it meant well, but it was a bit too weird,
Yeah.
and I think
I,
they went too far now and made it too simple. Is it that
I wish. Oh, sorry. Go on.
you it's the thing with it is at the start your opponents get to choose if you either have an extra spell, so 3 spells, or an extra channel.
Yeah.
And I think that's an interesting choice. I can't really say what I would pick if I were to face Infernal Dwarfs.
I think it's too much more. It feels unnecessary. Like, why?
Yeah,
I think they could remove it and just keep one of the effects always. And just have that.
maybe. I mean, I think it's a bit of a problem with Night Age that you either have these quite complex rules, and then people complain about them being too complex, and then you simplify it, and then you reach a point where it's did not really fulfill the purpose anymore, and you might as well remove it.
Maybe. I think
I've
it's
seen
like
that happen, but not always. Um,
a bit, yeah. Like maybe, but I think it's just that the main problem. Like I brought Infernal Dwarf to a bunch of tournaments, and in Sweden at least, Infernal Dwarfs are pretty unpopular in tournaments. I think at most of the tournaments I was the only one playing them.
yeah,
And before each game, I would have to explain the entire army, and usually people would be like, "Oh, go on, I'll find out." And usually they would get really wrecked by blunderbusses, for example, the old blunderbuss rule, which was really contrived.
yeah,
And I think that it's kind of the same now. I wish they made more things simpler. They've made some things simpler. I like that they, even though I liked March and Shoot on core infantry, I think it's probably good that it was removed, for example. I think it's just a lot like it's kind of hard to put my finger on it. There's two units that I think are the most things I don't like, but I
Okay.
think just potential in the book, and it's probably like the Disciples of Lugar,
Okay.
which I think are, I don't know if they are OP or not. It's kind of hard to tell. I think they probably are, but then again, I don't know. But the thing is that they have so many rules, and they have rules going in so many different directions. Like they have one, like they have two different modes, and they have
And they have
skirmish capacity, and
this litigator option where they gain skirmish and all of that.
yeah, but they also have like, so they are naked dudes with 5+ ward save, but they're also like distracting in close combat, and they can turn into this flaming variant where they gain more strength but lose AP, but they get volcanic embrace so they can explode. And they also have this, I think it's a bit random. They have the capacity to, before the game begins, choose an enemy unit, remove all like Vanguard Scout and stuff from it, and deploy it out of sequence. I
Yeah.
don't know if you were aware of it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's a very unique rule at the moment.
Yeah, and it's a rule I don't really like very much. Because there's some things I don't think the game should be doing. Maybe. I'm not like a pro game designer by any means. I'm just a dwarf goblin player who got in charge of some stuff. But I don't like it when certain rules go too far in like controlling the opponent's choices. And I think this one is a bit more brutal, because it's like, hey, that unit you played with, now it's no good, for example. Or it's like, oh, you like your vanguards? No, no way. Like, or you're ambushing. Whatever. I think it's a bit. It could have been done differently. Like, if, for example, I would have preferred if it was like, if the aim is to counter like vanguard and scouts, maybe you could just have vanguard and scout can't deploy within X of this unit. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But at the moment, I think it's like it forces the hand too much, for example, a bit. Or
Yeah,
another unit I don't
I
like.
think that that one, I think I would have to test a lot in games before I can make a call on. It seems it really changes the dynamic of the game, and I think that could be interesting, but you might be right in that it changes too much.
Well, it's just that I don't know if it's too good or not. It's just that I don't like it when an enemy option or enemy unit just goes to like up to the opponent, just smacks him in the face and says, "No, you can't play this. You know, you can't have this."
Yeah, fair. That's one of the worst kinds of design is forbidding the other player from having their fun.
Yeah, that's kind of like, and that's kind of tied to the second thing I'm a little bit displeased about, which is like the Overlord has on foot. He has this thing called arrogance, I think.
Yeah, that one I know has caused a lot of stir on the forum.
Yeah, because it's if you didn't know what it is, Gobbo, it's every unit that is within frenzy range. You know, what is it? Base, advanced +7.
Yeah.
Every unit within that range gains frenzy if they will, you know, if they're within range of the Overlord, pretty much. So you can watch up to an army and have an army-wide frenzy check, pretty much. And I think it's a bit weird, both on a fluff level, because I remember I was being really very angry about it on the forums. I probably sound a lot meaner and angrier than I am.
That's easy to happen when writing when communicating in text. It's a difficult thing to do often.
Yeah, but the thing is that I think it's kind of weak justification, because I was like, what's the fluff reason for this? And reasoning was that Infernal Dwarves are really hated and Overlords are really hated. You know, maybe they kill your cousin. And I was like, but then why is the entire army like charging? Like why would skeletons charge this guy? What are they angry about? Or whatever. And the other thing is that every army can be hated, but that kind of, he's only hated when he's on foot. That's kind of odd.
Yeah.
But then the other thing is, again, with this control thing. So I don't mind frenzy on a unit. Like there's a spell in beasts, or what is it?
Yeah,
Wild
Savage Fury.
Savage, yeah, that puts frenzy on an enemy unit, and that's pretty cool. You can plan for it, but this is kind of hard to stop because he can do a march banner if he likes, and some units, some armies don't play with a banner like the Under Dynasties or the vampires, or
Yeah.
and they have low leadership on units, so they're super susceptible to this. When undead units probably shouldn't be too emotional, and also it's again like taking control out of the opponent's hands with little counterplay, I think. And I don't like that type of mass. Be like, fuck you, do this. You can control it that much. And there is an argument which is like, well, play around it. There's lots of stuff that limits stuff in this game. You have to play around it, and I agree. Like, yeah, there's lots of stuff, but I think this one maybe takes it a bit too far in that sense.
Yeah, maybe. All right.
I talked lots. Sorry.
Did you get it out of your system?
No, because the thing is, like, I wish I could be. Because actually, I like a lot of the stuff in Infernal Armbook, for example. I really like that they made like applying fire and using fire and like more streamlined. It's nice, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I really love about the Infernal book is this like modularity to the war machines. Like to have 3 different chassis that all use the same gun. Yes, different levels of it, and all of that I really enjoy.
And I think like the relationship between vassals and Infernals are nice because the vassals are the ones who apply the flambeau,
Yeah.
and the dwarves are the ones who reap it, more or less.
Yes.
I think that's a really good way
that
to play
it's really evocative of like their relationship.
Yeah, exactly. And also like I can hardly claim credit for it, but I know I was in discussions early on about like there should be a vassal shaman with shadow lore because it's really cool. I wish the vassal should have a bigger place in the army. And I think I know there is a little vassal shaman, whatever. And for me, it's always going to be a goblin shaman. So yeah.
Yeah, a conjurer, I think it's called.
Yeah, and I also think they really sold it beautifully with, like, because you used to have these goblin wolf rider darts that would shoot out and die, but they removed it by making it like a champion upgrade.
Yeah,
and I think that was done very well as well.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so I think we'll move on to the next piece, which ties into this vassal theme, because they announced the next 2 supplement books also. Have you seen this?
I've seen it, but I don't know what it means. But I think I saw some Hobgoblin in there, so that's interesting.
So the supplement armies are, of course, the variations you can play over different armies. You have the Askar, and no, what's the Askar? That's something else entirely. The Osklanders and the Makar for the Wars of the Dark Arts, and the Cultist for the Demon Legion. And the Hobgoblins will be the first supplement army for the Infernal Dwarves.
Oh, that's really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a cool concept.
Yeah. Maybe I should just play that as my army instead. Hold
well, you'll always have the option. So that's what's neat about this. It's just a variant that you can use. And I mean, your army is perfectly themed for it, so. And again, I think it's the supplement books are usually meant to enforce some aspects of an army, to really drill in on it. So the warriors books have been focusing on different barbarian cultures, exploring them. So this is something that I think the Night Edge can do more of, what they did with the Hobgoblins, because previously the vassals were just simply called Hobgoblins.
Yeah.
But now they have a generic term in the army book, so you can use humans or whatever you want as them.
Mm-hmm.
But then you drill in on the goblin aspect in a supplement, to make them more prominent.
Yeah, I think that's really nice actually. It's like a choice that it kills some flavor maybe, but it also opens up for a lot more variety and customization. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's why I'm surprised they call it Hobgoblins. Oh,
Yeah, but that's the thing. They kept it general for the army book,
Mm.
and then drill in on a specific aspect of it in the supplement, which I think is perfect. Because then you get that fluffiness in the supplement book, which is where I think is most appreciated. And
yeah.
and the general army can still be used whatever way you like. It's more open.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah. Like maybe a bit boring if it was just normally of like, here's a generic unit you could use as whatever.
And that's a bit like the vassals are. But
Yeah,
then
that's true.
that's open for interpretation, and the supplement sort of validates using hobgoblins in that role. So I think that's neat. But they also announced a second supplement for the Demon Legions.
Oh yeah?
Which
this is the one I'm excited about, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that's the monosin or monogod armies.
Ooh, finally.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way.
Nice.
So I let you said you were excited about this, Gobbo?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. One of the things I had in the previous war game was an entirely Tzeentch demon army, and the idea of having like a sloth army or a lust army, I think, is quite good. Again, I'm not a
Pure goblin army.
competitive player. Am I gone? Am I still there?
No, you're still here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, used to have Tzeentch demon army, and with the synergies between the different gods, I think they're really good. However, sometimes you can find it hard to go mono god in a single Demon Legions book and be competitive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think also maybe the book isn't always like made for it.
Yeah.
Or if it's made, it might be like too OP or too underwhelming. It's kind of tricky.
Yeah, I mean the Demon Legions are not that. They don't have that many specific units for the different gods. I mean, there's really two for each god.
Right.
And then they have a bunch of generic units.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what they do with the monosin approach.
Yeah, because I mean, there's 7 gods, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder how is the book gonna be like 7 different sections or?
I think so. I think that's the intention.
Dang.
Yeah. It seems really ambitious, but I'm very interested to see what they come up with. I think it's a really cool opportunity to bring in a lot more different models, because the Demon book is so open for different model companies and stuff, so you can just go nuts with unit design.
Definitely. One of the things, one of my future projects is to do a demon army of the Night Haunt, so the Games Workshop Night Haunt models.
Oh, nice.
But it depends on what happens with the mono sin, whether I go mono sin or whether I go full blown demon.
I'm gonna try to set up my laptop in a little while because I think it's charged now, but it's giving me attitude at the moment. Hopefully, a bit.
All right. I think we'll plow on with the news in the meantime. So the next bit I have is the Two Idiots printing service.
All right.
So these are two guys on the forums who decided to get a nice printer, and they are printing stuff on demand for people. So they buy commercial licenses of different miniature companies and are able to print stuff and sell it to people who don't have printers.
Nice.
So it's a really neat concept, and I think it opens up that market to a whole lot of more people, which is nice.
Hold on, I'm gonna. Can I pause you there? I'm gonna try to connect my laptop, and I'll see how it goes.
All right.
So be back.
Yeah, I think we'll keep talking to entertain the audience. So they have an offer at the moment for you can buy the full Essence of War Dwarven army, all printed and ready for you. So that's 23 models for $50, which is a pretty good deal actually. Two of the models are Hold Guardians, so a little bit bigger as well. And if you get that army and make some content with it for Essence of War, like a battle report or something, you get a 10% coupon for future purchases as well. So nice little motivator there. Do you have any experience with printers and such?
The 3D printing, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the guys that I normally play with in Bristol, he's designed, printed, and painted his own gnome army.
Nice.
Which he uses now as dwarven holds, which was quite fun. It was actually on one of the battle reports on the channel.
Ooh, I have to check that out.
And it's all very like drone bots and stuff like that, and all controlled by big gnome overlords, and it's good fun. It's beautifully painted, but he's physically designed them himself and then printed them himself and made them. He was hoping to bring them to a tournament in February, all painted. But yeah, we shall see. But no, he's done really, really well with it, and I was impressed. So I had my doubts, but I genuinely think that 3D printing is going to really, really, really take off for modeling.
Yeah, I agree with
even
that.
If it's just like, even if it's like printing heads or if it's printing different weapon options and stuff like that, I think it's a really good thing.
Yeah, I have access to a nice printer at work. I can print. I mean, it's not like I can print whole armies on the work printer, but I do print some small stuff here and there. I can actually have one model in reach here. So I'll show it here first. This is a geisha for my Undying Dynasties.
Very nice.
I'll show it here as well. So this was printed, and I've done some conversion bits and other things that I printed out as well. So it's a really nice option to have.
So first-hand experience from painting. So I painted a elf for Peteglio from the Veil of Ages.
Yeah.
Campaign, and actually you can get quite a lot of detail on it.
Yeah.
Which was again one of the things that I was worried about, but it came out really well. And again, that's on. I've checked that out.
Yeah, and the detail is really down to the quality of the printer. So and that's just gonna improve as prices go down and quality goes up. So there's really a big market there in the future, I think.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering how these companies are gonna tackle it. They're gonna like try to start selling prints. I don't know.
Yeah, some companies have started selling their sculpts, the STL files. So that geisha I showed you is from Titan Forge, I think. Yeah, they have a whole like Chinese themed army, and they made all of the sculpts. They sold it previously, like costs of it, but then they have now made the 3D files available for purchase as well. So it's a brave new world out there.
Yeah, like I know some people who have armies with really good looking scouts. I think they've expressed some trouble with like making certain type of models and stuff, but I don't really know the details of it. But I imagine that it might. I imagine it's only going to get better, as you said.
Yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting market that's opening up, and it's good to have some services like the Two Idiots printing service. So I link that down below. Next we have, and I'm gonna read the official name here, the official in some sort of markers 2020 non-denominational international T9 the Ninth Age holiday gift exchange.
Oh, from Omar?
Yes. So you've seen it. It's a Secret Santa thing.
Yeah.
So you sign up and you'll buy some stuff. Was it $25? And send it to another person that you get randomly selected for somewhere in the world, and you'll receive a package from somebody else. So I encourage people to check that out. I've signed up. I have some plans for it.
Alright, that's me asking for permission, but it's gonna be confusing because my mic on the laptop is turned off, but I'm using.
Yeah. All right. I'm also using two accounts, so I'm gonna.
Oh yes, that's where the second meta at. Now I get it.
Yeah.
It's still gonna be terrible. Like you're gonna see my hands mostly.
I did click allow, I think.
Wait, you denied me, you son of a bitch.
I did.
Someone has denied you. I was like, what the heck? I'll try one more time here.
Try it.
But it's also like my hands. It's not like you could. Like my angle is really awkward.
No, there we are.
Like, here's my belly and here's my hands.
Yeah, we can. It's a still shot at the moment, but we can see your hands. It'll get there.
Yeah, I'm just gonna turn off this sound as well. So.
There
we go.
Yeah, the secret Santa thing. You can check that out and sign up for some good holiday fun. There are a few days left.
This is not a professional setup. Well, this feels really weird. Holy fuck! How can you guys even do it? Seeing yourself is really unsettling. Holy crap!
I'm just focusing on the miniature as much as I can.
I was gonna say, so the plan, I don't know if it kind of picks up. It looks like this. These are my little Goblins with the heads.
Yeah.
Mask heads. And, nice. I mean, the name Immortals, doesn't it come from like the Persian army or whatever? Or am I only getting my history from the movie 300 here?
I mean,
I don't know.
I do too, so that sounds correct to me.
Yeah. The idea is that the Immortal unit is that everyone has masks, and whenever someone dies, someone else picks up the masks, so they're always remaining at 1,000 members.
Yeah. And they have, at least they had this rule, Whispers of the Mask, so I think that's a thing.
Oh yeah, so the idea is that whenever a Goblin dies, the next guy comes along and picks up the mask. So
and
the
then
whole unit
have
is
a new Immortal.
Exactly. So the whole unit is here, and there's a whole bunch of them. And I'm like, holy fuck! If I ever want to make more Immortals, I'm gonna need to get more of these masks because I've exhausted all of them. I'm gonna make some really, really good unit fillers. Anyway, sorry, that's off topic. But finally, I can show what I'm doing after some time.
That's awesome.
That's neat.
More or less. I mean, the laptop is not made for this kind of thing. But advantage is, like, now you can see if there's like bad details. I can say like, yes, these are amazing models. Look at the detail. And you can't prove me wrong.
That's excellent. Okay, I have 2 more pieces of news, I think. Or no, I have 3, because I also, on a related note to the Christmas Santa exchange, I also want to mention the thread that I just started up, or revived, which is the Christmas Avatar thread. So if you want, you can post in the thread to have your avatar pimped for Christmas, to get in the Christmas spirit. I can't change my avatar at the moment because I did some naughty stuff on April's Fool. So when that gets sorted out, hopefully it will. I saw Piteglio send some prayers to the admins and the moderators, so we'll see. But I didn't do it last year. I didn't feel the Christmas spirit, I guess.
Oh, I see.
I'm looking
This year,
forward
sure.
to doing some more stuff like this year.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Like my avatar is Christmas Eve ish. Like it was commissioned specifically for the forums. So that, I mean, there you go.
Yeah, but if you want it, I'd be happy to make some changes to it, add a Santa's hat or something like that.
That'd be feeling. I mean, I might participate in the Omar's thing. Yeah, I think it might if it's okay, like send a model, because the whole Goblin as dwarf thing started with one of those, let's make a model and send it to everyone, and a guy wins it, like a lottery thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it started. So maybe if I do this again, I'll do another, I don't know, army theme, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Sounds good.
We'll do.
I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Really, really appreciate him doing it. I'm really
nice.
starting to lose my voice as well. We
Yeah. So the next news, what was it?
yeah, we will move on to the Dread Elves that are coming for Christmas.
Yeah.
10th of December, I think is the date they're looking for now.
Bang. That's an unfortunate thing. That's when Cyberpunk launches.
Oh. Do you really think they're gonna launch that day? I mean,
yeah, for sure.
And this applies to both Cyberpunk and Dread Elves. I think both are prone to be prolonged.
I don't think Cyberpunk can delay any longer.
Yeah, maybe. I've been sort of absorbing some news about that from the internet. I have no stake in it.
I gotcha. I was gonna say, like, you present a new topic and I immediately like derail it. Sorry, dude. So
It's fine. It
took me 2 seconds.
A new record.
Yeah, like Dark Elves. There we go.
Yeah. So
I'm really excited about it actually, because I have another project I'm working on, which is converting all my useless fucking War Machine models to 9th Age.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what faction is that that you're gonna use as Dread Elves, I guess?
Circle Orboros, which is kind of funny because it's coming full circle. Because most of my models in Circle Orboros are actually Games Workshop models. Dude, I wish I could show you, but War Machine had some really horrendous models that are also very expensive.
Yeah.
So it's kind of awful. This army I'm making right now was supposed to be Sylvan Elves to begin with, but I might, counts as Dread Elves instead, depending on a bit on the book. So I'm really excited for it. I looked at some of the design things they did.
Yeah.
And the little leak they had, and I think that's actually like the way I'd like to see Infernal Dwarfs go, because there's complexity. I don't know if you saw the Mistwalker unit.
Yeah. I see it.
And
I've seen it.
What I think is really good about that unit is that it's complex, kinda, but the complexity, once understood, is very easy to explain, kinda, I think.
Yeah.
So the rule it has, Gobbo, do you know the rule for it? Like what a Mistwalker does?
I don't, unfortunately. Sorry.
That's fine. That's the beauty of it, because I can explain it. Basically, a unit of Dread Elves can ambush, but instead of ambushing from the board, they can ambush from the side of the monster, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Following some special rules. So it's like a transport unit, which is kind of new. Well, it's completely new, I should say, for 9th Age. And I think so. The rules covering it are really like very 9th Age, lawyery written to like prevent as much abuse as possible.
Yeah.
But that's the anti-abuse stuff doesn't really matter to the opponent, because it's most like you can't deploy in one long single file and suddenly pop out like a conga and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the concept is really simple. I deploy from this unit.
Yeah,
that takes a second to explain. So yeah,
exactly.
That's very 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 true.
Yeah, so that's kind of, and it's like I saw Like the Dreadnoughts were kind of complex before, I think, and now they're a bit simpler because they had all these different buffs and different cults and different things.
Yeah.
But it seems to be more simplified at least. Like the Kraken. Oh no, sorry. The Hydra is the Hydra.
Yeah, they
I
have
think it's the
they have
Hydra.
both,
The
I
War
think,
Hydra.
still.
Yeah. The Hydra is really simple. Like it's a monster and has like 2 special rules, which makes sense. Which is just like
Yeah.
it's like the giant rule.
Yeah, the rage. I actually wanted to bring that up because I think that's it's simple, but I don't like the design of that
That's
because
fine.
it feels opposite of what it should be. So he has the rage rule, which
Mm.
gives him +1 attack for every wound that he loses,
Yep.
and then he has cut off one head or something like that it's called. So every time he rolls a 6 for his fortitude save, which is 5+, I think, he
Yeah, should be something
he
like that.
recovers a wound and then loses an attack.
Yeah.
So, and that feels like the opposite that it should be.
Yeah, I agree that it feels a bit weird.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably completely for balance sake.
I'm hoping that they will remedy that in some way to try and make it feel better. I mean, it's the first version and all of that, first alpha, so there's still time to fix that.
Yeah, but I think it's just that even though they might, depending, the beauty of it is I think it's like they managed to convey a unit's uniqueness without necessarily like adding many special rules to it.
Yeah, that's true.
But then again, it's like some people might feel like it's not special enough. Like, isn't this just a giant?
Yeah.
But it's like a lizard. Which is like a fair point, I think. But maybe like interactions with the rest of the army, with maybe there's some beast dude around who can help along. I think
Yeah, they had the like the skirmishy core guys. I can't remember what they called, but they have one of those can be built to like prod the hydras and all the other monsters into battle, make them charge better and things like that.
Yeah, so that's a bit unique, I think. And it's just I'm excited for it because I know I think Smith F. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's like Smith, or is it?
I don't know.
He's on the design team, and I think he's a really cool player. And he usually plays unique armies. I would never call him a power player. He's like me. He wants to play like a unique snowflake army, so you can feel special and unique.
Yeah.
And I think that they're going to do really good work on it. I'm kind of scared about the crossbow, the way they shoot. They shoot 1 bolt on like long range, and they shoot 3 bolts at short range.
Which is 9 inches short range.
Yeah, I think so. Might be even shorter. I'm not sure. It feels scary because I'm like, holy moly, like is this unit gonna melt something up close?
Yeah.
And I think that might be tricky to balance because that means they are balanced for close range and they are wet noodles at long range, or they balanced for like long range.
Yeah.
And
basically, they are gonna get one good volley off, and then something's gonna charge them.
Yeah, it could be, but I think it's very. It's also a unique thing that will add a lot of flavor, but it's not like many special rules. Just like one more shots in close. That's fine.
Yeah, it's neat. All right, we'll leave it at that, and I have one more bit of news, and that's a bit of self-promoting again. Early today, so Sunday, I updated the rules for the 9th Age skirmish campaigns. So those are on the homebrew section of the forum to be downloaded. This is the version 09.98. And yeah, it's available for all.
Is it skirmish? Is it like?
Yeah, you control a warband in a campaign, so through several games, and you gain experience and in each game, and advance your warband further, and all of that.
Okay, so it's like a little. But is it still units, or is it like single models?
Single model skirmish game.
Okay.
It's also available on this tabletop campaign repository that I mentioned at the start.
Ah, clever. I see now.
It all comes back around.
That's right. Very clever. Very clever.
So yeah, if you're interested in some neat Night Age skirmish games, I can recommend that. But I'm of course biased, or well, I don't get anything from it, so whatever.
Only very slightly biased. That's fine. Obviously, you can promote yourself on your own show. You know,
Yeah.
that's I think that's fine.
It's not like anybody's gonna stop me. That's for sure.
It's like, wait a minute, you sell out.
All right, but I think we've been rambling on enough now. For I think we passed the 1 hour mark. So let's get into the main topic.
Yeah, sorry.
It's fine. Identifying with your army.
Sorry, there we go. That was.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, I was like, forgot.
Okay, so I'm gonna start off with an example. That I think there's many examples of this that goes around that, and I think we can like go around the table a bit and talk about different examples that we've seen. So I'm gonna start with the simple one of back in Warhammer days, shouting "Wag" or "Wa" as you charge in with your orc horde. It was a very popular thing. I sure did it. And I wasn't alone in it. So that I've seen quite a lot of. So who wants to take up the torch with another example?
I could go with myself. Going with playing dwarves. I bought my own Book of Grudges, my own Damas Kron, 2 tournament games.
Yes.
Sadly, it has many entries. You know, so I lost a lot of games.
Yeah. So the Book of Grudges was in a piece of the fluff in Warhammer.
Oh yeah, sorry. So Book of Grudges, for those who don't know, was the Book of Revenge. So every time someone slighted the dwarfs in Warhammer, they wrote it down in a big old book, preferably with blood, if it was extra blood. I actually used a red ink pen, pencil, so it'd be more fitting. But yeah, so it was basically part because I was playing dwarves, partly because I like dwarves a lot. I'm not sure I like necessarily identify with them in that sense. Like I don't hold grudges, but it makes it really fun to lose at least. And
Yeah, but it's a bit of role playing.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
You get into the sense of being a dwarf in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So you wrote down the names of people who beat you in battle. Is that it?
Yeah, I wrote them down and then I made them sign it, and then I made them, because the idea is also that you make a little bond with someone, and then maybe you can, if you ever meet in like at a tournament at a later date, you can maybe I actually crossed out a grudge, so that was very nice.
Yeah. That's nice.
I still have the book too. It's just that it hasn't been in use because I'm playing goblins, and obviously, goblins don't have that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of it. Like, I mean, I'm not like saying I'm trying to grow a beard and I'm stout, so to speak. But I'm not short, so I got 2 free right at least. But it's kind of funny the way that I think I wouldn't like say I see high elf players identifying armies in that sense.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I have seen like orcs and goblins players seem to be often more, I don't know, like gravitating to that kind of army. I think it has something to do with like personality somehow.
Yeah, that's something that I really want to try and drill in on. Maybe at a little bit later stage.
Oh,
no, it's fine. So yeah, that's a really cool example of it with the Book of Grudges, and I think I have my name written in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure you have. there's many names in there.
Yeah. All right. So, do you have an example, Gobbo?
Hold on, can you hear us?
I think he's trying to unmute or something.
Oh yeah, it could be. That station actually looks really nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
there's
Do
a
you have like a? Oh, sorry.
there's a chat function, Gobbo. If you can hear us, you can write what's bothering you.
So you were talking so much I fell asleep, kind of thing.
I guess his mic is not working.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Hmm,
Let's see. Where's the chat? You said.
I think there's a chat at least.
There it is. Here. All right.
All right.
Happen. Should I go on? Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, we'll keep talking.
Yeah. So, I think the main thing. Oh, wait, what was the topic again that you wanted to hone in on this time?
Yeah, that different armies are more prone to this. But I think I can keep just sprouting some examples instead. So going more personal this time, I got myself a hoodie for my Oaks and Goblin army at one point. I painted my cave goblins with purple cloaks or yeah, whatever it is they're wearing, cowls,
Robes,
maybe.
I guess.
Yeah. And now the native English speaker can't be heard, so he's shouting at the screen at the right word. But I got myself a. Yeah, we can hear you.
Heard.
Excellent.
Hooray! No idea what happened. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. So just to continue with the hoodie, I got myself a purple hoodie, pretty much the same color as the cave goblins I were painting, and I always intended to do the checker pattern in yellow around the edge of the hood, but I never actually got around to it. And now the hoodie is like worn down completely because I wore it to a lot of tournaments.
Yep. I think I remember it.
Yep. When I played my Oaks and Goblins, and yeah, it was really a small way to try and capture the feel of the army a little bit, and as I said, a bit of role playing in a way. So, all right, Gobbo.
So, I think at the end of the day, this is a hobby, and your army is effectively an externalization of how you think and how you feel.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So, for example, the majority of my stuff is crazy random goblin stuff because that's what I enjoy, and to then help other people enjoy that with me, I try to involve them in either the creation of the army or, again, embodying it. So, for example, Dan, who's the one of the chaps that I play with quite often from Bristol, he's also got a goblin army, and we have almost like a rivalry.
Oh, that's good. That's good stuff.
And it's all in character. So it's my king of my goblin knights versus his king of the goblins, and it's always on the forums. We're always starting arguments against each other in character. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I wish there was more of that fluff element to the Ninth Age.
Yeah.
Again, it's coming. It will be coming eventually. I know that, but I want to hear the stories. I want to hear the stories about how my king on Squig eats his king on Spider and stuff like that. And yeah, that's my thought on it.
Yeah.
But the curious thing is maybe if you tie it to like why don't we see that stuff with like I don't know, like the highborn elves, for example. I don't really see that much, but they should be really arrogant and stuff. You know, they should be competing princes and things. But we,
yeah, I think yeah. Let's just dive right into it, because the reader seems to be that this sort of thing is gravitating to a few armies. So I see it with dwarven holes quite a lot, and as we all been speaking about with Orcs and Goblins. And I mean, it's curious why that is.
I don't know. It could be. I think that maybe So to get that kind of person that acts out in that way, you have to be maybe a bit less reserved. Maybe I don't know. So maybe that attracts people who play orcs and goblins. Maybe like not everyone brings, a collared hoodie or something like that. Or but then again, dwarves aren't very chaotic or whatever. And I don't know. I don't really know, but I think it has something to do with like the way the army acts attracts people who are more unlikely to act out in a certain way. Maybe
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
somehow how it works. I guess.
Yeah,
Very, very deep thoughts right there. Deep analysis.
No, but
I think so. I think so. Again, with goblins, for example, it's normally fun, random movement. You're not really in control of your army, so it doesn't really matter.
it's more the army is taking you on a ride. You're not controlling
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. You put it on the table.
And you bring the enemy along with it. It's fine.
Yeah, that's fair. One thing that I have seen an elf player do, as it happens,
Okay.
is sound effects. And I think that this is not.
Ah.
I've seen this from many players, and sometimes it just becomes so natural. But he used the silver nails, and whenever his archers were to shoot, he pulled a bow and twing or something like that.
That could be hit or miss, I reckon.
So he always did that before shooting with his archer, which was just a neat little quirk that he had, and again, it's this role playing aspect of it.
Yeah, I say it actually. I remember a friend who played against a Bretonian player back in Warhammer, and the Bretonian player would always say "bling" whenever a save would go off the blessing of the lady.
Yeah, that one I've heard too. I noticed too.
Yeah. And I think it's definitely a quirk. I think he found it less of what I'm using quirk in that sense.
Yeah.
But that makes sense. Like I'm trying to remember back what I've done. I'm sure I've done sound effects. I'm absolutely certain.
Yeah. I mean, like monsters crashing into lines, and you're like.
Yeah. Like I play with steam couplers. I'm pretty sure I've done a back in Warhammer, when you could play 7 steam copters, I'm pretty sure my opponents didn't find that as amusing. No, guilty as charged,
7?
probably. Yeah.
7?
I mean, you could play 8 if you wanted to. It was pretty nasty, dude.
Yeah, I think
that's an abomination.
Yeah, you would know how. I mean, the thing with me is like, I enjoy fluffy armies. The fluff of my army is overpowered. So it was in Warhammer when you had many steam copters, and you could also have when you use templates.
Oh,
So I would play 7 templates, and I would just like fly circles around the enemy army, template. In hindsight, I didn't make too many friends with that army. Curiously.
Why not?
I promise I've gotten better. Like
It's only 4 copters now, isn't it?
I mean, I still own all the copters. It's just that I might convert some of them to be like, as part of the dwarven goblin mix-up. I'm thinking one is going to be like I got a copter with wheels because they can't make it fly, but it's still made of metal and big. So we'll see how it works.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for sure, I made helicopter sound for sure, and I don't know why, but for some reason, I think players who like goblins and orcs has some sort of attitude towards dwarves. I don't know if that's like.
It's true.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that was part
It
of
is
the fluff in Warhammer, that they had some sort of special relationship.
Yeah,
Ancient
and in
grudges.
Tolkien too. I reckon. I guess
Yeah, that's true with the Goblins of Moria and all of that too.
Yeah, so maybe it's just that people take influence on that. But I always felt that whenever I met, like when I played dwarves, I mean orc player and vice versa, I always feel like I'll grudge you or
Yeah, it always gets a little bit extra when two people like that clash.
bring it stunty, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you trigger each other all of the time.
Yeah, that's really fun. I mean, that's the thing. It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's just that I think my whenever I played goblins only, and I met orcs and goblins, but I meant orcs, I was like, here comes the uprising, let's go. Don't tread on me, the kind of thing, I don't know. And then Man, I'm getting off topic again. Sorry, dude.
No,
I
it's
remember all that.
absolutely fine.
I'm just trying to remember other times when I've seen someone act like their army. Like I could totally be like, oh yes, this gaming player was an asshole. But I'm not sure if that's what you're after. You know, maybe.
Maybe not.
I mean, it could be. Like I think the amount of game players I met who are like very,
Yeah.
I mean, like. Luckily, it's not people I know. It's just people I met like one off. And I was like, that wasn't very enjoyable.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you can't really role play like the asshole armies who are just like evil in a way. I mean, a dread elf going around and like being snobby towards everyone and like murdering people, that's not really fine. So I guess it's harder then.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember now a guy who played Ogre Kingdoms, Ogre Khans in Knife Age, you know.
Yeah.
And he made the entire army like Christmas themed.
Oh yeah, Jonas.
Yeah, and Jonas is like, he's huge as an ogre, and he dressed up in Christmas stuff as well. So I mean, like purely by like physical build, he was an ogre. You know, more punch maybe, but I mean, it's like armies that are more like carefree or whatever. They definitely attract people who are more like, I'm just gonna make a fun thing out of it. I think.
Yeah.
That's probably it, because we're all here and we all have goblin armies or halfling armies or whatever. You know, you and your mad hats.
Yeah, I guess I should mention Mad Hat as well. So he's my mascot in a way.
Yeah.
It's a goblin. I use him as my avatar on the forum, and he's I play him as a forest goblin on a huntsman spider often, and he has the wizard's hood and 10 different hats at the moment that he switches between.
Really? Damn.
For the different paths you can take. Or be randomized with. So a magnet in his head and 10 different hats. I have over 20 hats in total, almost 30 I think.
Damn. I love you have hats. I love it. Little fashion thing.
And for a while I also had a hat that I wore on my real head, not just the mascot head, that I won the first time I used him at a tournament at tag team.
Oh, lucky hat.
Yeah, it's a horrible like cap. It doesn't look like anything, but it became like a whole thing. So yeah, that's definitely part of the part of the theme here.
Have you come across? Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead, because I was going to say nothing of worth. Go ahead.
Fair enough. Have you come across, when you're playing games, people that let the general of their army make the decisions as to what they would do if they were actually the general?
Yeah, I do that.
So, for example.
Yes, I have. That's me.
Yeah.
I think that's
Same.
the biggest,
me too.
The biggest problem with this podcast is that we gather all the people like who does this, so we can't really talk about anyone else, you know. So it's like I made like in 9th Age, I made a little battle report called Gottrun Gudmundsson, I think, and the barrel, like the Karsim grudge busting mercenaries. And after every game, I would make like a rule, depending on how the game went, like Gudrun Gudmundsson will never, you know, again, deny a challenge from an enemy general. And I would tell my opponent that, you know, so he would know him for the next game. Like, I will never do this, or like this character will never join this unit. Take advantage of that if you like, you know. And then I would make it serious stuff. Like, he will never deny a challenge. He's always going to charge, that kind of thing, because I wanted it to be more fluffy. I was making a fluffy battle report. And also, the best part about this, like, if it goes to hell, I can just blame, you know, the general. And it's like, I'm not doing anything wrong. He's going over there.
Exactly.
Yeah. my thing.
Like,
yeah, go ahead.
Like a tactical decision, for example. So, using the T9A rules, you know that's going to lead to you getting massacred. Yeah. However, as a goblin, he'd do that.
You know?
Yeah, I do that too in a bit, in a way. When I am an orcs goblin player, so when I'm using my orcs and I ever find myself in a situation where I'm debating, should I declare this charge? Is this a good charge for me to declare? And if I can't really work it out, what is the best option?
Yeah.
Then I charge, because I'm
Yeah,
an
of
orc.
course.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
And it's even to the point that if I do that, if I find myself in a situation with Vampire Covenant or any other army, and I can't decide, then I'm just like, well, I'm an orc player at heart. I charge.
Yeah.
And just go for it.
I mean, I'm not gonna pretend I make fluffy decisions all the time. It's probably like 20% of the time, maybe. But usually, if it comes down to like, is this gonna make a good game, or is this gonna make it epic? Then I'll probably do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But there has been times where be like, oh, this is the fluff thing to do. I'm not gonna do it because it's gonna lose for the game.
Sometimes
yeah, and I think maybe Gobbo is more hardcore to the general there, because I've had times when my general stands in front of the enemy general. I'm like, charging now is not good. That guy is gonna pick me to pieces. And then I like in a battle port, I'll come up with like, oh, he stumbled, whatever. So the good thing about writing a battle port is you can always justify whatever.
Exactly, yeah. No,
I mean,
I fully
go
go
ahead.
with the fluff side of it. So I think, yes, that's what my general would do in that situation. And when it turns out brilliant, it's even better. It's the sweeter sort of apple, yeah.
The best thing about like role playing a goblin general is you could be as cowardly as you like at a moment, whenever, because that's clearly what a goblin would do.
Yeah.
Not if you're a night goblin general.
Yeah, but then the moon tells you what to do basically. So I mean, you can justify whatever. Like, oh, the moon told me to not charge here, or go back here, or double flee this because this is good. Maybe. I don't know. So this.
Yeah, but that's a really good example of letting the there comes the goblin.
Yeah. Oh wow, well, this picture is grainy. Can you even see what's going on here?
Yeah, but he has a nice beard, I think.
Yeah, excellent. And he's got a little like this. These are gonna be. I'm not sure what this is gonna be yet. I think it's gonna be either a Citadel Guard with spear and a pistol, or he has a Citadel Guard with a shield. We'll see.
Yeah.
The tricky thing is that the beautiful thing is that goblins can also be really like easy to model and justify because they can have bits from all over the place. That's nice.
Yep.
But back on topic, I guess. I'm trying to think of like, is there a specific race player that do more battle ports? Like, is there some specific thing? I don't think so. It's pretty good variation.
I mean, speaking of Hawks and Goblins, we can also mention Shyhammer.
Shyhammer?
Yeah, Gobbo knows what I'm talking about. Yes, he's an American battle reporter.
He likes his warring, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he likes his Koopa.
Yeah.
So he has names for all his character, and he's always like doing voices for them and thematic stuff. And he's a really good player too. So it's just the battle reports, or not just battle reports, but yeah, he really goes all in for his army. And again, he's a Goblin player. So there really is something about us.
Yeah, I mean, I think there must be. Like, then the question is, like, what are we like just 10 IQ lower than everyone else? And, like what?
I mean, is it a special kind of player that is just attracted to these armies, or does it happen to be these armies that are
a lot more anarchy orientated? So they enjoy the fun of owned down by a Nashadasher or something like that.
As at the same time, I absolutely hate random, so it's like it's not a great match in that sense. Like if you play, remember Warhammer Animosity, that was like I hated it. Like I hated it to the very core of my being. But still, I would play it, because the rest of them is so good, and that's kind of the thing. Like it's that was kind of hard for me to I don't know. I'll make it sound all dramatic, like, oh, I had trouble doing this, but it's like I loved the concept and the fluff and the story of the goblin orcs, you know.
Yeah.
And I love the attitude, but I hated the mechanics on some of it.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really this type of super carefree player when it came to like, again, having the game do stuff for me. But at the same time, I love fanatics, you know. So I don't know what that says about me, you know, or whatever. I guess it's
So
like
I
there's.
think the
Go ahead.
big thing difference between like animosity rule and like fanatics is it doesn't affect. So the random movement is a random move. You're still moving. Whereas the animosity, you roll a dice. Oh, you're not doing anything this turn.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Or even worse,
And
you do something this turn and you don't want to.
yeah,
I think just yeah,
fire. Go for it.
I think you're right. Maybe it's like comes back to the whole Infernal Dwarf thing, but like whenever there's something that's out of my control and it's really big and serious, then I get really irritated. So animosity could fuck up an entire army, but maybe a fanatic is so low on the scale that it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe I don't know. Could be.
I think that's an important thing to weigh in and balance in when designing the game.
Yeah.
The appropriate amount of randomness, and because you want it to still to have an effect. If it's too little, then it doesn't. If it doesn't matter, then it's no good at all.
Yeah. But I think I haven't actually played much as, you know, ironically, I haven't actually played as goblins only in 9th Age at all. I don't think. I played as dwarves and mostly that kind of stuff, but I haven't played as goblins. Do you guys? Is the army very random? What do you think?
So my counterpart. So this is Dan we're talking about, who's my mortal enemy in goblin
Yeah.
terms.
Curse his name.
Curse his name to the grave and all that. He went to a tournament with 3 wreckable giants, as well as the Snotting Pump Wagons, as well as his maxed.
Is it he who has those wrecking ball giants that can rotate on the base? Or is that
Yes.
some- Yep.
No. So
Holy shit.
he's got the Nasher Dashers, the big Mangler Squigs or whatever they're called now.
Yeah, the wrecking teams, or the
They're made
yeah,
made out of ping pong balls on springs. So, and he's sculpted them really well. And the majority of his army wasn't in control by himself. And he said it was absolutely brilliant, but both him and his opponent didn't know what was going to happen.
That's funny though. I like that. So there's randomness in it still. I just know animosity is gone, and it's really happy for me.
Yeah, he got
What's
the wooden
the-
spoon there. So
yeah. But I still think that the Orcs and Goblins are one of the most random armies out there at the moment.
Yeah,
But
totally.
it's certainly less than they were. But is that necessary for people to behave in this way?
No,
The
I mean,
randomness?
I don't know if the randomness is what attracted people to it. You know, if it's like if it's just
Yeah.
a party faction, or if it's just like
Is it more fluff, perhaps? Is it the background that does it?
I think it's probably the background. Yeah, it's probably purely the background, because it's like if you ever played 40k, the orcs in 40k are not especially random. Actually, they're pretty reliable in a sense. Like when their units die, they explode and stuff like that. But they are like they always. There's nothing that's going to come in and like make the unit spin away or move randomly or anything like that. But it's still a very popular faction in the sense that people who you get a certain type playing orcs, you know.
Yeah.
And I think so. It's probably more like the fluff or the cultural thing or whatever, because it's always like bigger is better and red is faster, and
Yeah.
you get very eccentric or interesting orc players. I think. And it's nice because it's really nice. You usually like I've never had. I don't think I've ever had an unpleasant game against someone who plays orcs and goblins. Like probably never.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't remember. Like no, never. Like usually when they lose, they're graceful, and when they win, it's funny. Pretty much. I'm actually trying to like remember when I had a bad game against orcs and goblins. probably only once online, and I'm not even sure that counts. Like on Universal Battle.
Yeah.
But then I was a dick as well, so it's like it was very dick on both sides.
Yeah.
No, that's actually weird. Now you say it, like I never met I had a bad experience. Huh. So it's actually kind of tricky because as a student and doing research, it would actually be really cool to like can dive into it, because why do Orcs and Goblin players come off as more pleasant or have more saney like personalities, or have more, I don't know, tolerance for losing, maybe I should say. I don't know what it is, but it seems a really common trait. I
Yeah.
don't know. That seems a really like orky trait. Like they are fine with losing because orcs never lose. That kind of thing,
Yeah.
If they die, they die, and so on.
So
Go right ahead.
I mean, the Night Age does have some fluff at the moment, but we are all wanting more. But can we try and define what not needs to be done to encourage this sort of behavior?
Probably spend like 30 decades in the making, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll let Gobbo talk because I've been talking the last 10 minutes, I feel.
That's all right, don't worry. For myself, the things that I think that would be a good idea is to really encourage narrative play. So making scenarios, making things that aren't necessarily based around points. I know that's a big contention for a lot of people, is it has to be matched, it has to be balanced. I completely get that. But you can still have a fun scenario rather than just like the 6 scenarios at the beginning of the rulebook. So, for example, like ambushes or siege battles or anything like that just tries to put a bit more story back into why you're doing this, rather than just trying to get the 20-0. Actually, my orcs really want to bash down that door so they can steal your grain. That's a lot more inviting, I think, to actually become a role-playing element as opposed to just a game element.
I think the really important thing here is that I need to be better at marketing these things, because they do have a scenario booklet with a lot of more scenarios. They're not super fluffy, all of them. They are a lot more varied, at least.
But I mean, at tournament level. So, for example, rather than doing a tournament based on whoever gets the most points wins,
yeah,
can't we do good versus evil, or why can't we do living versus dead, and try and build a story around the results of the battles?
yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, I think the tricky part is with Ninth Age, is that I think a lot of the players who are attracted to fluff probably are not as numerous as the people who want to go to tournaments to play competitively, and I base that purely on anecdotal evidence. I actually don't know.
But isn't that a chicken and the egg?
Yeah, I mean, of course, yeah.
Situation.
That's the thing. So maybe it's like, I'm wondering, because in Sweden we have the TNQ tournament, and I think that has really good scenarios.
Yeah, that's my tournament, by the way.
Yeah,
I know you know, but for the audience in Gobbo.
Oh yeah, good point. So it has really, like, it's not like our like a tournament-wide faction narrative, but it's like usually each table has a unique like story on it, and it's really fun. Sometimes it's an imbalance as fuck, but
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, but it happens, and usually it's really fun. And I think that the point I was going to get to was that I think it's a really appreciated tournament. So even the players who might be perceived as win at all costs or going more competitively still enjoy the tournament.
Good.
Usually has a lot of attendees.
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely room to have that kind of narrative. It's just that I think if there's a will for tournament organized to do it, they can probably invent it on their own, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, the Night Age should do more to encourage it, I think, the project.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure how to do that. Releasing scenario booklets and things like that is a good way, definitely. But I actually think this was something that was talked about on a UK podcast. I think it was the Slanrat Daily, or weekly, or whatever it is now, where they mentioned that the pandemic has actually helped that aspect a bit.
Oh, really?
In the UK, because the Universal Battles tournament are a lot more creative there. So instead of normally every tournament was 4,500 points, 5 games, normal swish. So nothing unusual. But now they are doing all sorts of kinds of with different tables, different map packs. So it's, I mean, compared to the Necronomicon Quest, it's nothing. But they are doing sideboard armies and things like that. So mixing it up a bit, and they were talking about hoping that it would stick to when we get real tournaments again. So maybe I think that's a step in the right direction. I think it's still far from this a narrative tournament as it would be, but maybe we can get there too eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what is the official fluff for Orcs and Goblins in Knife Age. I know there's somewhere down the timeline, I guess.
I mean, there is a fair bit out already. The last episode I did, I said, was faction focused Orcs and Goblins, and we went through the fluff. And there is a bit of it, not so much on Goblins yet, more on Orcs, about their broods, their family structure, and how that translates into a tribe, and their internal power struggle that is constant within both each brood and within the tribe.
Yeah.
And things like that.
But is that like fun stuff? Is it like?
Oh yeah. I mean, they have the games of Sagyan, which is the games of Sagyan. It's a yearly celebration that they have, where they have a big feast and they eat stuff and they play all kinds of games to determine who's the strongest and fastest and smartest. And this is it's a game. It's like the Olympic Games. It's called the Orc Olympics by some. And it determines the power structure within the tribe. You can challenge the war boss or the war.
How do you measure smartest?
Let's see here. Can't remember one of the competitions that did that, but they have a chariot race, flight of the flaming pigs, where they're throwing flaming pigs in the air and watching them run through the camp and burn everything down. I mean, it's a lot of crazy stuff, and I think it has the potential to be this fun faction in the setting. But they have to get it out there and make it more visible to people.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things I kind of miss is how all the Slim Arm books are completely devoid of any sort of fluff or story or whatever. Like,
yeah,
I remember back in the old Dwarf book, I really want to have like some little tidbits of lore or quotes or anything in the Slim Arm book, so you just like scroll by and get like a little feel.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
or just like a black and white art piece somewhere, you know,
yeah.
like a.
It's a dilemma for the project, really.
It is a bit, but I also think that like one of the things my big critiques is probably that they put so much work on making each book amazing that it takes so much time and manpower maybe from making all books a little bit more better. I don't know, because we have these really amazing artists, and I wish each artist would do a little bit more in every book. I don't know, because it's just I would really love to see like someone do one good dwarf picture, maybe like a good king or something, and then you could have that in the dwarf book next to the king entry. Maybe I don't know. So it's something because it's
there's no demand for it, though, is there?
Yeah, and it's do we focus on making these army books one at a time, or do we delay that and make art for everything at all at once? That's a big dilemma, I think.
I mean, it's
The-
not a dilemma for me, I guess, but then but it is for the project as a whole. I agree for sure. It's just I think that having artists at all is like amazing, and I think
yeah.
that each book should be content with like 2 or 3 pieces, at tops. So I don't know how long Ninth Age is gonna have these amazing volunteers who can put out like amazing artwork, because each book so far has been smock full of it,
Yeah.
and I think it's a bit much. It's like I don't know. It's like it feels like we're burning out the artists almost, but I don't know.
I mean, we are, or not burning out, so to speak, but I think the Night Age does cycle through staff for
Yeah, for
sure,
sure.
and the
Absolutely.
artist as well. But it's sort of the sort of planned in a way because they can't pay the artists, so they approach someone who could need a little bit of exposure or just wants to help contribute, and they do a piece, and then they are done. And then they move on to more. Some people do lots of art, like Marcus on the forums, um, and he's a star of the project.
Yeah,
Uh, but a lot of them do one piece, and then
yeah,
they are happy.
and I prefer if that was like maybe, because I don't think it would be too controversial to have like, yes, one piece for each arm book. That's not, just to have something, or like, oh, not even art, just like a quote. Like
Yeah,
you can come up with a quote, like maybe like a canon. You have like a just a big old reliable, or I don't know, like for my
yeah,
ancestors somewhere. Like
uh,
it's really cliche, but something to just feel.
yeah. One thing that I had written down is special characters. Do we think that would be
Yeah,
a good step?
I think so for sure. Because then it's like, oh, the world is actually tangible and it shows in the gameplay somehow. Or like I think special weapons is like one nice thing to do it because they come with a bit of history, which is really nice.
So you mean
I wish.
like the special items in the book or something more?
No, I think that's a um. Yeah, I mean that gives flavor because they convey a story and like what they're all
Yeah,
about and stuff
yeah, like the
in
light
the
of
name and description. Yeah,
the light of the
because
Sonnenstahl and things like that.
exactly. So it's like if you ever play Dark Souls, for example, the entire game is basically like conveyed in the item descriptions.
So
So you don't need like huge. I think. I mean, you say that you need to get the story out to people, and I agree with that too. But also, what document is it everyone uses all the time? Is it the armor building document? So
yeah,
if you're gonna put stuff somewhere, it has to be in there.
yeah,
And
that's
in some ways, small ways, big ways, I don't know. But
yeah, maybe.
and I think a special character, and would be in the arm book, and they would see it and be like, oh yes, this guy is from the fluff. He's in the story. Now we have anchored the story in the arm book, and people can relate to it a bit better, maybe.
I think
So
if they were to release some some special characters or legendary characters,
yeah,
I think it would be in a separate supplement probably.
for sure. I think
um, but yeah,
that's the thing I think is kind of weird though. Is like the way supplements exist in a limbo, kind of.
yeah,
Because if we're tying it back to like how people identify with armies, and we were talking about narratives and people identify with narratives, I think it's kind of weird to have books that are semi-official. I would really like to see like the books be completely official and completely like tournament viable, whatever, or like official in that sense. But then again, I guess they are. It's kind of hard to tell.
yeah. At least at my tournament.
Yeah, and I guess that's the best way to do it, maybe. But I would love to see special characters not as a supplement, but in the arm book, maybe. But maybe that's too controversial. I don't know. I just feel like that would be a way to establish the lore and the story, and you could have like really fluffy stuff. The thing about special characters is they don't have to be powerful; they just have to be extra in some way.
Yeah,
Like I don't know, like
uh,
in old Warhammer, you have Scarsnake, and Scarsnake wasn't very good, but he really like made you feel like, oh, this is goblins kind of thing. And I think if Ninth Age came up with a character each or two for each army, that'd be really sick. But then again, you're back to like, oh, should we design an arm book at a time, or should we do something for everyone, or who should do this and that?
one thing that I think is missing is maybe we don't need um, rules for all these characters. but having I mean we have a lot of names of characters in the background, but we have quite few names of like famous generals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We know a few emperors and kings and a lot of authors and researchers and things like that. But we don't know too many generals. So I think going in that direction could be good.
Yeah, that could be fun.
And I think we need more icons as well.
What do you mean with icons?
Like we have the icons for the dark gods, all 7 of them, and those are cool. And those are things like people could put on a t-shirt and start identifying with the army.
Oh, I meant like literal icons. Sorry,
Yeah,
I was
literal
like
icons. And I think we need more of that, like something for the Church of Sunna. And yeah, for every faction needs something.
Yeah, I mean, the dwarf arm book is probably really far away, but I knew we had like super prematurely, a dwarven alphabet, because the Clinker rune from Warhammer is like my favorite thing, and some of my banners still have the Clinker rune banners, and they actually spell out things, and I think that would be nice, like having stuff you can put on the army or paint on the army to make it be like, oh, this is the 9th age universe and army and stuff.
To cool. try and anchor your armies in the universe.
Yeah.
That's true.
But that requires someone to actually draw that shit and make it good, I reckon.
Yeah.
And also, I'm terrible at freehanding, so it better be like three straight lines. So, the Clinker rune is very good in that way. It's just straight lines, and you make them slowly.
Fair enough.
Don't make me do something advanced. I've seen some amazing freehands, but they were not in my level.
Yeah.
By any stretch. That was also really good why I play Orcs and Goblins, because if you make it look like shit, it's still canon, So there you
go. Speaking of special characters and all that, are you familiar with Kleppa?
The what now?
Kleppa, the mascot for the 9th Age.
Is that the name of it?
Yeah. Like kleptomaniac.
I was not aware of it.
It's a goblin. He has a wolf called Fleabag.
That's
so
very, very
I mean,
typical.
They have bits of this, but they really need to make it more visible.
Yeah,
I think that's.
I remember when they had the naming contest, and then it went nowhere. So my submission was really popular. I'll have
What was that?
Oh, I can't remember.
Very memorable name, I'm sure.
I'm sure it was something clever and smart, because that's all I do,
Spoke like poker face, yeah.
I don't know. I think it was something probably like the names, like "Get out of here." I can't remember, but I love the goblin. It's just that you don't really see him in any of the arm books.
Yeah.
Or anywhere on the site or anything.
They did.
It's cool and fun.
I think they tried to take the April Fools jokes are usually his. They try to spin it as. That's a good way to.
I think it's in the main rulebook as well. I think it's somewhere in the main rulebook in some of the sections.
Yeah, I think so too. And he shows up in the scroll every now and then. He is actually, I think, a canon part of the fluff as well. One of the bits in the scroll mentions him once.
There you go.
So, but this is, I think, what we keep coming down to, that they need to make this more visible in some way.
Yeah, or possibly, but it's like, even though it's more visible, will people like?
Will people embrace it?
Yeah, embrace it. There we go. Because I don't know if it's off limits for the pod, but it's still like Warhammer fluff is still very appealing to me. So sometimes I like. It's a 9th Age army in game rule, but I still think like the old banners are still there from Warhammer and stuff. And I still say WOG, So
I've tried my best to adopt the new fluff as much as I can. So I have my Empire of Sonshal army has banners copied from the art that's available.
Yeah.
And I've written von Karstein with an R and a K on the banners, and I have Sagwoods written on other banners. I try to embrace it where I can, but for some armies it's really, really tricky, I think.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
extra tricky since there's no very few official models, I should say. We have some like the model of Suna from Avatars of War, I think, and
Yeah.
some bunch of those.
It's not an official model, but it's officially supported. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
the company made it officially for the Night Age, but the
Yeah, there
Night
you
Age isn't officially affiliated with it.
No, of
Something like
course.
that.
I'm not a very technical person, so take everything I say not legally. I should say. But it's tricky that way also. Like you don't have like, because every model I'm gonna buy is probably Games Workshop anyway, so it's tricky to come up with new fluff or like distance yourself from it. It might be easier for me with either Infernal Dwarves because they're gonna be new in that sense, and it might be tricky with Dead Elves as well. I mean easier with Dead Elves because they seem to be different. I really hope they make it feel like a new army, like from the prior versions of Dead Elves.
Yeah.
That's my hope as well. Is because a lot of the armies seem to be a hangover from
Yeah.
Warhammer.
Yeah,
I want it to
Or
be new.
inspiration.
I mean,
Perhaps, I don't know.
the newer armies that they have, the full books, they do seem to carve out their own path so far. I think
Definitely.
with the 7 sins,
More or less.
and I mean, the Infernal Dwarves being a lot more tangible. I think they're not like just evil dwarfs. They have a story.
But the problem is that they're still evil dwarfs.
Yeah, or well, in a way.
I mean, the fluff is that they're the most hated people in the world. So
that doesn't make them evil. Yes, that makes them hated.
Maybe the slave is pretty awful. But I was best.
Why are you booing? I am right.
I'm technically correct. I was just thinking that. So the thing is, I think the fluff for the disciples of Lugar is that they are like battle lawyers essentially.
Yes, they are lawyers.
But then it's like the models that are going to be used for it, like people that had before, is still going to be naked berserker types who look crazy and not very lawyery, in that sense. So it's kind of tricky because the models available for it are not like very clear cut. So so it's like, here's my lawyers. They are very good lawyering.
Yeah.
And then they are like Mohawk warriors who will dual axis and they are on fire also. And it's like, oh yes, where's the lawyer bit in this? And the lawyer bit is of course that they made a pact with a demon. But I mean, it must be tricky to try to come up with new stuff and fluff and also make it a more narrative, while the models and stuff are still from the old narrative, so to speak.
Yeah. Fair.
Because I don't know. That's hopefully if I'm gonna tie it together in a cool little ribbon. Hopefully that's where 3D printing can come in and be like, oh, look at this new shit we got. Because if Ninth Age got their hands on a really good like 3D model dude.
I mean, again, Marcus on the forum, who does a lot of art, he also does 3D models.
Oh, that's son of a bitch.
So
one person should not be allowed to be that talented.
Hey, as long as he uses it for the good of the project, I'm all for it.
Yeah. I always wonder what Ninth Age could have been if it was backed by money, I guess. It probably wouldn't have been possible or existed, because then you'd be like, out of all the hundreds of people who contributed, how would you disperse the money and whatever?
Yeah, I think it can be an interesting question to wonder what it could have been, but I don't think there's any way that we can change it into that now.
No way, because I'd be like, where's my money for my years of work?
Yeah,
I put hours of this, sleepless nights,
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would not want to be with the project anymore as well. But that's exactly. Another discussion.
Oh, that's true. That's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. Do we think that we have? Are we spent on this?
Not spent, but I think that I can go on for hours, and I think that's probably the problem. Like I can go on forever and ever and ever, but Warhammer 9th Age. That's a good thing, but maybe not for the podcast. So I can be quiet for sure.
What about you, Gobbo? Gobbo, do you have anything you want to add?
I think overall, a couple of points that you mentioned. So the highlighting what is actually available is a really good idea. So, for example, you mentioned about the narrative play, you mentioned about the different scenarios that are available on the forum.
Yeah.
I think if the Ninth Age could work out a way to advertise better, a lot of the things that I crave certainly would be fulfilled, which is good. And I think there are a lot of people like me. So a lot of the people that I play with in my area in Yeovil in the southwest of England, we all prefer the narrative siegey sort of battles to the complex. Oh, do I drop first? Do I drop second? That's going to lose me the game sort of play. And I think it would appeal to a lot of players as well.
Yeah. If you could brainstorm a little bit more on that. I mean, there are bits here that I've informed you of for the first time. I get the impression of.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
So where could this have been put where you would have noticed it?
So I think going out onto the major platforms for social media, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
So yes, the forum is a good place. However, I don't physically have the time to sit and troll through forums.
Yeah.
I've got a full-time job. I've got my family as well. I go onto Instagram. I go onto Facebook occasionally. I'd love to see more information hitting the major social platforms, and if they could get someone, I know it's all volunteer based, but if they could get someone to start promoting that, I genuinely think they will see a massive uptake of new players.
Yeah, that's probably true. I don't use social media at all. Pretty much, I use YouTube, obviously, but I don't use any other platform.
But the same principle, I think YouTube is a massive platform for the Ninth Age.
And
if it was...
as we talked about a little bit beforehand, doing more stuff that's focused on the hobby, not just the gaming, is important.
Definitely.
I think.
I remember they had some plans for it. I mean, they were going to make this introductory video introducing all the factions and fluff stuff and everything.
Yeah.
And I contacted one of my voice actor friends who does that kind of work sometimes.
Yeah.
And the thing is that part of Ninth Age problem is a lot of bureaucracy.
Yeah.
So he was ready to help, and he recorded stuff, and he recorded it, and they could not agree on the pronunciations of stuff. So the video would never went anywhere. And I think that maybe there's people who could do the social media stuff, but it's like it's so mired in bureaucracy and slowness that maybe it never gets anywhere.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I know that they tried to get into that space a lot more, but it always seems to just fizzle out.
Yeah.
So they need some sort of really devoted person for that job, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Because I guess Ninth Age does have a. Do they have a Facebook page? You know, I guess.
I think so. I don't.
I think I'm a member of it, but I'm not entirely sure.
I know they have an official Instagram page as well, and it's a bit sporadic in its activity. But that's a thing that could help.
Yeah, it's tricky because it's all volunteer work in the end, but it'd be nice.
All right. I think I interrupted you, Gobbo. Do you have any more final points?
No, I think we're good. I think, as you said, yeah, the introduction for social media, the highlighting where the current stuff that is already made is, and what you can get from it, and also then the potential of doing tournaments or narrative scenarios, I think would be great.
I think what would be really cool if they can make a considered effort would be to have someone who does a high production battle report that's like 10 minutes long. Not too long, but they do 2 armies on a really nice field with nice terrain, nice models, nice looking armies, good lighting, and they make a narrative out of it. Maybe they recreate something out of Ninth Age history fluff,
Yeah.
And maybe complement that with one piece of artwork or some I don't know, free sound or whatever. But have something that oh, here's the battle out of lore. Here's some really cool models. Look at how our game works.
Yeah.
And it's oh, this is really inspiring. I want to do this as well. I don't know, because it's battle reports. There's still battle reports around, but it's usually very. It's one person making it, but if you could have like something, just 2 or 3 people working together and presenting it, because a video is pretty easy to post everywhere. I reckon. I don't know. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
For sure. So, in conclusion, we want more.
Yeah, there we go. I think conclusion probably is like if there's an interesting narrative stuff for sure, but it's kind of hard to get at in Knife Age.
Yep.
And I think the narrative is what people are like attracted to when they are these type of like if you don't identify with an army, you identify with the narrative or the fluff or the culture or whatever the themes.
Yeah.
And in order to get the themes out, maybe if you want to like have more of these type of players, it wasn't part of the original discussion, but
Yeah.
it came in.
No, I think that's maybe not spelled out exactly, but I think we do want more of these kinds of players. That's
Yeah. I guess it's to get to get narrative out. How could we do it in different ways? And it's just like I guess like posting in places where it can be seen. I guess it's like the baseline we get to. Maybe I don't know. That'd be nice. Make someone do battle reports.
Again, we've got the channels like the PTG guys. We're hoping to increase our number of battle reports once coronaviruses, and then we'd love to get into things like the narrative games, a lot more detail. So I've been painting for the other guys as well, trying to get fully painted armies on the table.
I think you guys did some battle reports for the Battle for Avras campaign last summer. Yeah.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So things like that I think are great. More of that.
Definitely. Exactly.
I think something that could be
lots of stuff in the pipeline. Yeah.
I think having a battle report that would actually shape the narrative and story of Knife Age would be kind of cool. Like you could have a little, I don't know, you could have like say 5 games played out across like half a year maybe, and each game would be immortalizing the story, and then have a specific scenario created around it. Perhaps I don't know.
Yeah.
But maybe it requires a lot of work. Perhaps I don't know. I guess it does. Hey, I'm gonna be quiet now, so I don't drag this on too much. You have a lot of editing to do.
I think we're gonna wrap this up now.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's perfectly fine. We've had a good chat, I think.
Yeah.
And I hope that the audience has been enjoying it too. So unless there are any final thoughts you want to add, we'll take a look at what we've been accomplishing during our little discussion. So, how have you been doing, Gobbo?
Done really well, yeah. So he's pretty much finished. Just got to finish the base now.
Yeah.
My camera's not in a good position, I don't think, but
yeah,
I can't seem to get it to focus. But
if you put your hand behind it, it might help it to focus on up close, something like that. Yeah, that looks nice. Yeah, as we said, it's a really cool model.
Yeah, it looks fucking sick. All in all.
Again, hopefully the client will like it and he'll be able to use it to stab someone to death.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, nice. What about you, Squig?
Sorry. So the thing is, I have a shout out after this, more or
less.
Which is gonna be if the people who sent me those bits see the massacre I'm doing to them and the fucking awful way I'm handling them, I'm very sorry. You should never see how the hot dog is made or whatever you call it, and now how it's processed. It's just like, so this is the fruits of my labors. It's 3 dudes, 2 arms. It's without the see my camera shit.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad the camera shit because as I said, you can't see details, but it's gonna look good in the end. I'm sure.
Have you enjoyed the process?
Yes, it has been fun. And also, I haven't been doing like modeling or hobbying for some time because I'm doing my exam work in university. So it was really nice to sit down and talk Knife Age and talk stuff while doing it.
Definitely.
I'm glad to hear that.
So thank you for the opportunity.
That's one of my little sneaky goals with this show to encourage modeling all around. So
Well, I mean, it's the tried and true thing is that an army never gets painted so fast, as a week before tournament, pretty much. So I mean, it's a good idea.
all right, for myself, I pretty much finished up this little halfling. It's been showing on the screen as I've recorded. I'll see if I can get you to
Can you
see
put your
it.
hand behind it as well, maybe? Do the hand behind trick?
Yeah, let's see here. I think
Oh, there we go.
I have bad lighting in here.
Yeah, but now we can see the shapes a bit better. Nice.
Yeah. So
He's gonna look sick on a mount. I think he's gonna look
I think it's gonna look neat.
Like I couldn't see the detail, but I could see like the power he had.
So he has guns that are almost as large as him.
Yeah, I mean that's power, that is.
Indeed.
That's good stuff.
So yeah, that's been fun. And as always, and I always forget to do this when we introduce the concepts, and hopefully those few who are still listening, if you are painting while listening to this, please post any comment. I would love to hear what you're working on. Yeah, I think that's gonna do it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for inviting us.
Yeah, no, happy to have you on. So thank you everyone for listening, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.
Cheers.